Clouds have been rolling, we've been rolling and blotting out the light. Darkest come early, it's come early, turning the day to night. But Channing, it's not over.
Hi, Kris Ferris, back again with Featured Artist, and we are once again in the Creative Center in Greensboro, North Carolina. We have some special guests from Nashville via the rest of the country here lately, Channing and Quinn. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
It's very much a pleasure.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you. Yeah, we're excited.
Just in from Boone.
That's right. Yeah, we spent a couple days in Boone, which
Off.
yeah, days
Sleeping.
off.
What is that, right?
I know.
Days off.
Yeah, we don't have that many.
It feels good though, doesn't it?
It does, absolutely. Yeah, we try to go up to Boone in the mountains whenever we can.
Is that like a getaway place for you guys?
It's a getaway, yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. We love it.
Interestingly enough, that's also kind of where this whole story started. Is
It
that
is,
right?
yeah. We actually met in Boone, Blowing Rock actually. We were doing theater up there.
So you have a theater background as well?
Yeah. I was doing more like technical theater. I did like lighting design and sound and stuff like that.
So there's the connection.
Yeah,
That's right.
that's
That's
actually
right. Yeah, we
interesting.
met doing a show. I was performing and you were designing the lights. And
I had just finished. I went to Appalachian, so I just graduated from there and was working
Yeah?
in Blowing Rock, and that's this musical theater show. So she's.
So you're both working on a production?
right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mhm.
So the relationships just started off as a friendship thing. There wasn't a musical connection right away? Or?
You know, the musical connection sort of evolved over time. We, Quinn had always played in bands growing up, and I was so a part of theater and singing my whole life, and we just sort of experimenting with playing music together, and it really worked.
It clicked.
Yeah, it absolutely did.
Well, the two of us had never really done anything like that. Like she said, I'd played in bands where it's 4 or 5 guys just jamming or something. I'll play something in G and let's see what happens.
I know those days.
And I wanted to scribble little lyrics in my bedroom,
Yeah.
and that was as far as I ever really took it until we started
Yeah, so it's
collaborating.
kind of like it's almost starting with the simplicity of just like, well, if you've got some lyrics, let's see different instruments, what it sounds like, if I put something behind it, and that's where it kind of all just started.
So you started off writing. You didn't do like cover stuff and go out and play some gigs, the kind of natural progression that people seem to take?
We did a couple covers. I mean, obviously, in the beginning, when we would play like coffee shops and stuff like that, we had like 4 songs of our own. So unless we just played those over and over again.
Well, once we started
Would you like
writing-
to hear those again?
Let's do it again.
Exactly.
There's been a few of those. Like you have these 4-hour shows, and by the end you're like, let's play those songs we played.
We're gonna call this the best.
They're never
Somebody
gonna-
requested this again. Can
Yeah.
you believe it?
Yeah, it's the greatest hit set.
Yeah. But we did. I mean, I really feel like we started writing right away. I mean, that's something we wanted to do. And but yeah, like she said, we go play. We write a song or two and be like, I want to get out there and see what people think of it. So you go play a 30-minute set at a coffee shop or something. And you're gonna throw in a few covers or something here
But
and
it's
there.
really always been all about the original music. Both my parents were involved in theater, and
Now, what level was it? Like off Broadway, off Broadway?
Yeah, all of that kind of stuff. But when they were young and living in New York and waiting tables and going to auditions and that whole.
You remember that?
No, I don't remember that. I wasn't born yet. But that's their background. So they definitely always. That was always part of my upbringing. Is being around that kind of music and the magic of theater. So I love it.
And what about you?
My background, not necessarily in theater, although I got excited to work. Well, I guess maybe when I got off to college, I started studying theater and technical theater and stuff like that. And I got really into lighting design, so that's where I kind of wanted to work. Maybe
That was a college course? That you were taking?
I took a college course and just got more and more into it. And I was working at like the university theater and just like kind of getting more and more into it. And there were a few, like we were talking about before, this was up at Appalachian, up in Boone. And there were a few like little companies, like we said, we met in Blowing Rock. So there's these smaller stage companies that are putting on production. So once I graduated, I was like, I'll just hang out around here and see what I can kind of get involved with.
Would that be like an intern kind of?
Yeah, sure, that kind of
position?
thing. But in terms of music, I just grew up playing. I started with piano and then guitar, and just like
keep going.
Yeah,
I
and then
know,
accordion.
it
yeah.
How many instruments do you play?
I don't know if I have a number really. It's just I just like to make a sound with whatever's
It's
around.
a one-man band.
I kind of have this image like you're talking about a song and you think, I can hear you saying, well, this needs some blah blah.
Yeah,
And you're like,
yeah.
okay,
I'll pick it
I'll
up.
go get one of those.
I
And
know,
I'll do
right?
that.
Let's just get on Craigslist.
Yeah.
See if we can find one of those. I don't know.
It is fun though that when we're writing, if she comes up with like a melody or some lyrics, we can kind of both tell like, that sounds like we can put an accordion behind it or something like that. It's
You can
fun
already
to-
hear
Yeah.
accompany it.
And different instruments really set the tone to, different songs.
Yeah, and
so.
we're going to talk about that
Yeah.
in a little bit because you can't make me jump ahead on the questions.
We're going to the last question.
We're
right now.
skipping ahead.
I always have to put it, it's my show. I
Yeah.
can do it the way I
You
want.
do whatever you want.
So let's talk about the road because you guys have spent an exorbitant amount of time on the road. And
Yeah,
it
we
looks
have.
like, what I see on video looks like you really enjoy it.
We do.
Definitely.
We really do. And, it's very easy for us. It's just the two of us. So, we're not taking a huge band
Right.
with us. So we're able to travel in creative ways. But we're on the road more often than we're at home.
Now the train tour, I mean you had to literally take whatever you could put on your backs, right?
Yeah,
That-
yeah.
So it was just
Yeah, it's-
acoustic guitar?
Yeah,
and
pretty much. You can take
You didn't carry a xylophone?
I did.
You did?
Yeah,
We
yeah,
carried
you
a
did.
lot. It was like
We had to.
hard physical labor
Yeah,
the entire time. Like we were sore every night. It was
Yeah.
a lot of
Well,
dragging things around.
you have to, like-
New York City.
Yeah, I mean, number one, they let you take like 2 carry-ons, like being on a plane or something.
Yeah.
So it was like, yeah, okay, we can take these instruments. We like planned it around the instruments that we wanted to take. Then we packed clothes and things like in the instrument cases and stuff, in like a book bag. It was hilarious. But you also like the one thing about trains, it's just like the old days. Like if you ride Amtrak, they're gonna say, in 10 minutes we're coming up on this station.
Yes.
And you get your stuff down and the train's gonna pull in for a second, the door's open, and you got maybe a few minutes, you could get all your stuff off and get off, and then the train's out there,
And if you're not off the
Yeah.
train, you're on.
so like you
on
really
the next station.
can't bring that much luggage anyway. And some trains they don't even let you check luggage, they're not gonna like take the time to find your bag and all. I mean you're just like,
You're just sitting
if
on
this
the
is your
bench.
stop,
Who came up with that idea?
I don't know. I think
We both were just talking about how cool it would be.
it's
to
like a
do
very
it.
romantic notion, traveling by train, and
Yeah.
I feel like it's not done that much in the U.S.
Yeah, it's a very out of date kind of
Yeah.
mode of
Yeah.
transportation for a lot of people.
It is. It really is. But it's a beautiful way to travel. That you go through parts of country that you would never normally see if you're just traveling by car.
Now, was it kind of more like an express train, or did you stop in every little
We stopped.
town?
We
Yeah,
stopped
I
in
mean,
pretty much
I mean,
every.
Yeah, I mean the way we set it up from the beginning, we knew we were touring.
Mhm.
We set up a tour just like we would if we were going by car.
Sure.
Playing a show in North Carolina and DC, and then up to like New York, all that kind of stuff. So we knew city by city where we were going. And then Amtrak does like a rail pass where you can purchase if you're traveling. They do it for a lot of people that are coming from out of the country to the U.S. as a way they can see the whole country. So you get
Okay.
this pass for 2 weeks, and you can hop on and off the train. I mean, of course, you have to
Like
get tickets.
unlimited
but
mileage?
Yeah,
kind of
basically.
thing?
Yeah,
you
It
go
runs
wherever
out,
you
after 14 days or
Oh,
something.
wow.
So
Yeah,
we
it's a great
got
thing.
that in advance. We're like, so that's how we're going to get from city to city.
Yeah.
The hardest part is planning after the train is one thing. It's going to take you to the station, but then you're like, okay, how do I get to our show? Once you're
That's where
arrived
the
in
public
town.
transportation
Yeah.
comes in.
So
It's easy in the north. In
Yeah.
the south, it's not so.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
not so easy.
You get
Oh,
off
wow.
this, the train in Manhattan, and you got 3 or 4 different options of public transportation to take. You get off the train in like Atlanta or Charlotte, and you're like, how do I get anywhere?
What now?
Yeah.
Where's the subway? I don't know.
And
Okay.
were these things that kind of came up as a surprise to you? You didn't think about it ahead of time?
I guess we knew, we knew it was going to be an adventure. I mean, obviously, but I think the amount of just like carrying our stuff around, we
Yeah.
didn't quite take into account.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
like,
yeah.
and we've
But
done
then
it.
you went
We've done
and
it
did it
twice.
again.
I know, we did.
And we made
We
little
tried
tweaks.
to make some adjustments.
I mean,
yeah.
that first time we literally carried the accordion, which is
Yeah.
like 40 pounds.
Yeah.
And the second time we had a little cart.
Drag it along, you know. But yeah,
That's
it was
cool.
fun. The surprises. We tried to plan, as much as we could. But yeah, that was the best part, and that's one of the best reasons we filmed it too. It's like I knew there were just gonna be things here and there.
It was
and-
perfect
Yeah.
documentary
Yeah,
material.
yeah.
Absolutely.
There were all
Yeah.
sorts of little surprises that came in, and we're like, so we have recorded. Oh, we're stranded here in the middle of nowhere.
I
you
remember
know?
that scene.
Yeah.
It's 3 o'clock in the
Yeah,
morning, and
yeah.
we're at the bus station.
Yeah.
Or someplace because the train station is
Yeah.
closed. We got no place to sleep, and I was like, oh my God, this is
Yeah,
amazing.
it was like so miserable while it was happening, but I was just thinking like, oh man, we're getting great footage. Like, this is gonna
It's
be
a
awesome.
great story.
Uh,
Now, I don't know if we'll be able to use this in the video. We might have to cut this part out, but Amtrak got interested in that for a while. Did anything
Yeah.
ever happen there?
Amtrak doesn't do a lot of promotional advertising.
And that
Yeah.
was like a perfect
I know, that's-
promotional
Yeah,
piece,
and
wasn't
we
it?
did. We had a few meetings with.
Yeah, we had meetings
them.
with them, and they saw it, and kind of working back and forth, and we were hoping something would come out. But yeah, it's hard because I mean, you just think as, do you see an Amtrak commercial very often, or like a
Yeah.
billboard or anything? Like, I guess they just don't have a huge,
I think it's kind of a government-funded
yeah,
entity
Yeah.
now, so they
It
don't
seems
have the
like it.
same
Right.
need for
Yeah.
backing, maybe. But it's such a perfect story. I don't
I
see
think it
why
would
they
be.
wouldn't.
And we were
Yeah.
trying
It's crazy.
we were hoping too, just the fact that we were like young, traveling the country by train. I just feel like that would be a good aspect to kind of go
Yeah.
by, like to get,
Yeah.
younger people like realizing.
Get some new faces.
Yeah,
out
I
there.
know we've certainly talked about it a lot, and about Amtrak and Rail Pass. I feel like we've sold a few
You've done your part.
Rail Passes. So.
Yo, Amtrak,
Yeah.
you should be paying attention to
Exactly.
this. So, being indie musicians, from your perspective, what's the business like these days? I mean, you've been in it long enough, kind of maybe to compare then and now kind of thing.
Yeah.
Is it?
I feel like the biggest way music has changed over the last 10
Yeah,
years
10
or so is really just what people are able to accomplish all by themselves. And that's a good thing and a bad thing in some in
Yeah.
some cases, because the internet is a huge tool for anyone. But it's just an interesting business at this point that anyone can make an album,
Yes.
get their music out there, and while that's amazing for some artists, because some brilliant musicians out there are able to create their art, it also just really creates a lot.
There's
know,
a huge
it's
sea now.
very
Yeah.
overexposed.
Yeah,
So
definitely.
it's very hard to weed through. I think millions and millions of
Yeah.
people
Do you
doing their art.
have any strategies to kind of deal with that?
I wish we did have like
I
one
know.
one
Like,
strategy.
here's the answer.
Yeah.
Yes. This will take us to the top of the
Yeah.
pile.
No,
I
I think it's like over time for sure. I mean, just continuing to release stuff and continuing to play shows.
I was going to say, do you think that's where being on the road helps?
Well,
Playing
I mean, I
shows
think
is-
so.
is
I mean,
key
that's
for us, at least.
how we've made any fans out there in different cities that we go to is just by them seeing us over the course of a few years. Coming the first time we played at a smaller place and back again. So, yeah, and like you were saying with the music industry, I mean, it has just changed so much. Even since we started doing this, I mean, we moved to Nashville. It's almost been 9 years or so, and a lot of the major labels were still kind of running things in Nashville when we first got there. So a lot of our friends and everyone was like, were a part of this like waiting game where they're trying to get signed by this big label. So they're all like hanging out and trying to score that big, record deal or something like that. Whereas now, no one's even really trying to do that anymore. It's like everyone is just like writing their own music, releasing it, and getting out there. It's so independent. You're just kind of in charge of yourself, and you're doing. So you just gotta like, yeah.
I'm getting the impression that the labels kind of wait and watch and see who kind of raises themselves up to a level, and then they approach.
Yeah,
you.
definitely.
It's true. It's because, with the music industry being in sort of the state that it's in now, I feel like big labels especially, they want a sure thing. You know,
Yeah, they don't want to throw away money
Yeah.
Right,
anymore.
exactly. So they want someone else to really, you know, whether it be the artist or, you know, someone to put a lot of the legwork in, and they have like the package deal once they're, you know, signed.
Right.
And yeah.
They want someone else to do all the work. They don't have to do anything. It's awesome. Sweet deal.
So as indie musicians, what's it like living in that town? I mean, is that another reason you go on the road? Is
Well,
like,
yeah.
part of it is
Yeah.
it's Nashville's a great city for music, and the best part about being there is we have met so many amazing musicians, and we're able to record with a brilliant producer.
Yeah. You meet so many.
who
Yeah.
no one knows.
on the latest CD?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you know, it's really just finding these amazing you know, artists who are not huge, and it's a nice community of
Yeah.
people who are all struggling, you know, to make it work.
Well, that's what we were talking about before the camera started rolling, was the fact that more and more people seem to be realizing that in order to do this, we all gotta kind of work together with each other.
Absolutely.
And my recollection, because my career goes back a long time, there was a time when nobody wanted to share anything. This is my gig, this is my recording studio, this is mine.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's really changed.
Yeah,
And it's
that's great.
exciting, but it does create this vast sea of stuff.
It does, but it is, yeah. I feel like, yeah, like you're saying, the community aspect of it, it's neat.
Yeah, and that's one thing I remember before we moved to Nashville thinking, is it going to be like this competition? Are we all against each other? I was nervous about that. Like,
In some ways, that's still
well, yeah, I
happens,
mean that's
but-
going to be around, but for the most part, we have made friends there, like with all the musicians,
Yeah.
and we all work together. And you know, so you can't make this one gig. You call your friend, can you cover for me that night? And you know, everyone really works together in that town, so that's a good thing.
I think some of your success there too is because of your personalities. You're very open and welcoming, and you know, I
Thank
just see
you.
where that would really play into people wanting to work with you.
Yeah.
Well, we like people, and we like,
Yeah.
you know, we like having a good time. So.
Yeah.
Well, it's just like anything with a job. You know, you go into a job and you want to, be able to communicate with everyone and work
Yeah.
with everyone and be the one that people like, not the one that like, oh, there's a weirdo over in the corner there. You know, he never talked to anybody. Like,
Yeah, let's work with him.
yeah, that'll be great. Like, yeah.
Now, talking about collaborations, I watched a video where you were backing up, and I will get his name wrong if I say it. He's a guitar player. It was up in the Midwest.
Oh, Brian Van Hart?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I got the impression that when you're traveling, you do that with quite
Yeah,
a few
we
people.
actually,
Yeah.
we do.
And we've
And
done that the most with him, pretty much, just because
We were just
we're
up
friends
there.
with him.
Mhm.
But yeah, we like to, you know, people will hear our music and want to hire us for different things. And that was a case where he's a friend of ours. He was the lead singer of the Verve Pipe, had a lot of success in the
Okay.
90s. And we were playing a show in New York. It was like one of those venues where he's playing downstairs, we're playing upstairs. So we just started chatting. He heard our music. He's like, that'd be fun if we kind of collaborated on some things. So yeah, for the past few years, he'll hire us and we'll come up there and we'll like open up a show with him. We'll do our set, but then we'll join him and kind of back him up on
Yeah.
his songs. So it's like, and it's really cool too, because we talk about it a lot with him and a lot of different shows we do. It makes it a different kind of show. It's not just your typical, let's go see the band play. You know, this is like, okay, these musicians are going to be coming in at this point and they're going to work together and kind of change the song up
Like
a little
a
bit here. And,
variety show
Yeah,
kind of thing.
Yeah, I like that concept. We've
Yeah.
actually talked about the collaborative, which is a brand new project. That is one of the concepts that we're exploring, is having an artist come in and then the two artists combine,
Yeah.
and then the second artist having the finish.
Oh,
or
that's
whatever.
great.
Yeah, I like that because you're
Definitely.
right. It brings a whole different energy.
Yeah, and
It
it's important to do that because, you know, not everyone just goes out and sees live music all the time anymore. I mean, you know, you do have the hardcore fans that want to go see live music, but you kind of have to have something, a reason why you're going to get the people out
You
of
need
the
to
house.
stand out.
Yeah,
a
sure,
little bit.
you know, and so you've got to throw in this entertainment, you know, where it's going to be a show like this, and bring people out to see it.
Do you have to keep the material like rehearsed? I mean, or is it just kind of a spontaneous kind of thing?
We do. I mean, I'm a huge advocate for being prepared in any situation.
Yeah.
That would be me.
So I get really nervous if I just go into a situation and wing it.
Yeah.
So we definitely like to be prepared for those shows.
We
Because
get more.
it's a job too.
Yeah.
So.
We get more nervous when we're playing someone else's music.
Yeah,
like
we're
our music,
responsible for someone else's.
Yeah. We know our stuff very well. We know if we want to explore around and change something up or have fun. But when someone else is kind of shining, you're putting a backing track to it and you're playing. You're like, oh man, I hope I don't mess up.
Yeah, because everybody's going to look at you
Yeah.
first, right?
Like it's not our thing.
Yeah, we're not messing up our
the
thing.
backup guys did that.
Exactly.
So let's go to your music. I listened to your CD a couple times and watched your YouTube videos, and I was impressed by the fact that there's not much instrumentation there, but what is there makes it sound full, and yet there's a lot of room in the music, especially to allow the lyrics. And I was really impressed with that.
Well, thank you. I think that's an important part of our music. I think, like from the beginning, we've tried to keep things very simple, and it's sort of, the anti-band almost, where I don't know if that's a term, but it
is after today.
where there's instruments filling up every moment of a song. I think a lot of times bringing it down and having that sparseness creates as much of an impact as a huge crescendo. So
did some of that come from theater?
it did. I think so. I mean, I think a lot of my writing and everything is definitely influenced by that.
And I have not read your lyrics, but the ones I remember are very catchy and very I don't
Creepy.
even know.
Yeah,
Well, maybe. Yeah, there seems to be a lot of death in them.
I know.
People like death.
Maybe quirky would be the word.
Yeah.
And that seems to be a label that you guys have gotten.
And we've embraced it
Yeah,
for
sure.
sure. And we agree with that.
Yeah?
Yeah, we do.
You like that?
Yeah, I think it describes us fairly well. I think
It describes the music better than people always want to hear folk or pop, rock, whatever. Like,
who knows what that is anymore? I mean,
and all
the lines are blurred.
Yeah, and I also got tired of hearing that too. Like, so you'd always ask, what kind of music you play? And it's jazz with a little rock, pop influence and folk on the side. And you're like, all right, I have no idea what you're going to say. You gotta.
Did you set out to be quirky, or did somebody kind of notice that and you were like, oh yeah, and that works, so...
I don't know how that happened. I think...
Just evolved, right?
I think we just started writing music, and I think we'd heard that term a few times.
Yeah.
Over the years, and we sort of just adopted it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The second we start, like you said with her lyrics, I mean, the stuff that she's writing, and then sort of what I would decide, okay, accordion should back this up or something like that. It kind of gave this vibe, okay, this song is about this, weird magician or something, and I'm playing an accordion. Like, obviously, we're getting into this quirky world,
Well, we have a mutual friend, Crystal Bright,
Yeah.
and she herself uses some interesting instruments, and it has this kind of, and I don't want to upset her, kind of Cirque du Soleil,
Oh,
it's kind of
yeah.
a real campy
Totally.
feel,
That's
and that's
great.
what I get from some of your stuff too.
Yeah, and we love playing shows with them.
Yeah, we've done a lot of shows with them.
We have.
Have you
especially
worked
around-
with her?
Yeah.
We've done tours with
yeah.
them.
But I mean, in the group, in the band,
Well,
have you done
no.
songs along with
Other
her?
Well,
than just,
She plays the saw on some of our songs,
Yeah,
which is
yeah.
awesome.
Cool.
And I've sung some like harmonies and stuff with her. So it's really fun to collaborate with fun, unique musicians, especially music that we love.
Yeah.
We're like, we want to play too.
That's awesome.
Let us play.
and when you become like friends with them, it's sort of like we talked about being a community. I mean, we're friends with that band, not just in music wise, but just
No, yes, you
And
would
so,
go
like,
sit down and
yeah,
have a beer together.
Yeah, exactly. So when
That
you're
just makes it
traveling
fun.
and you're like, oh, I'm jumping up there and playing on this song, it's like a fun thing. Like,
She doesn't know yet.
Yeah.
And I'm backing her up on this.
Yeah. So it kind of just became that when we've done maybe 2 or 3 different run of shows, with like 4 or 5
Yeah.
shows. And yeah, just like by the end, we're like, oh man, I know that we played this every night, you know, so we're.
Well, isn't it kind of like a fraternity too? I mean, you're road warriors together, so you have that connection as well. I mean, you can be friends, but.
And that's cool. We play this circuit of venues, especially in the Southeast, that we see, you know, we keep up with some of our friends, like by the posters on the wall. We're like, oh, they were here 2 nights ago. Let's send them a text. And
Definitely,
like, you know,
That's so cool.
so it's funny.
Songwriting. Now, we could probably do a whole show just on your lyrics. I mean, but can you compare how you started out writing with what you're doing now? Has there been some maturity or some growth there?
I hope so. I do. I feel like, I think that obviously, you know, as we all mature and you know, get older, more experiences will play into what we're going to write about. And I've always been a big advocate that I don't just draw from myself, and that's a lot of what I used to write is, you know, experiences, emotions.
Autobiographical.
I mean that's your typical song, but I feel like if I only drew from that, it would, you know, my songs would be sort of one-dimensional. So
you have some fictional pieces
I love writing. I mean, you know, some of our songs are totally fiction, and it's you know, our song "The String" is a fable that I decided to write about a man who, you know, plans his life by tying you know, strings on his fingers, and he ends up becoming this huge ball of string, and he can't do anything. He just rolls around his house.
Is that a concept that just kind of came to you, or is that something that's kind of been maybe developing in your brain for a long time?
That was a recent one.
Yeah, it was recent, but I do remember when you were writing it, you were telling me that you're writing like a fable. Like she said, I don't even know if this is going to be a song. Like honestly, like she's not like, I got this new cool idea for it. I mean, she was writing, it was long. I mean, not like crazy long, but you know, like, and there wasn't like
you
this,
want to do what?
Yeah, and there wasn't this specific like verse, chorus kind of thing. She just had this really cool story. I remember, I don't know if you were done or what, but you were showing me some of the words that you just written, and we had no tune or anything to go with it. And I feel like it sat like that, not for a long time, but we both were kind of like, I don't know how we're going to make a song out of this. You know, it's a cool story, so let's just see organically what comes about or something. And
so it had to grow.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think
a lot of songs, I feel like, definitely. I mean, the easiest songs are the ones that just are like, bleh, you know, it all comes out at once. But some sit for a while because I do get very particular, and I don't want to just throw it.
Do you write and then edit and then edit and then edit? Do you pick it apart a lot?
I do to a point, and not too much after I feel like most of my thought process comes while I'm writing a verse. So I'll write a verse over and over again until I get it right, and then that's usually gonna stay that way. And I'll switch some things around at the end, but I spend a lot of time on the actual, you know, writing process itself. So I don't usually just write out a whole song and then edit afterwards.
So you edit as you go, kind of. Okay.
Yeah.
Is it lyrics first and then music, or music first then lyrics, or is it
always different?
You know what's so funny though, and I was just thinking about this, is that both of us, in terms of how we write music, I really have trouble writing music to lyrics. And she has trouble writing lyrics to music. Seriously, it's tough.
Well now, so tell me how this works.
Seriously, yeah. It's tough to sit down and go, listen to this, and I just play something, and she's like, all right, I'm gonna write some lyrics to it, and vice versa. So we have this weird thing. We've done it since the beginning.
Yeah.
It's like this organic thing that happens. She works. She's always writing in her head and writing stuff down, and I don't look much into it. She'll maybe tell me, I've got this concept that I'm working on. I'm like, okay, but I don't want to know too much about it. I don't want to think I better go write some music that sounds like what she's writing. Yeah, I do not want that. So I'm always doing the same kind of thing with different instruments. I just love making sounds. I always call it that. I'm not really writing music. I'm just coming up with different things. So what'll happen is, as she's working on something and as I'm working on something, one of us will say, that kind of, what you're doing there kind of goes with this one thing that I'm doing. And it could be either way. I could be just playing something, she hears it in the other room and goes, wait a minute, play that again. Play it over and over and then switch to that. And the next thing you know, we're like, well, this is sounding cool.
Like a tape player.
Yeah.
I'm like super bossy.
No, it's great though. Yeah.
And the truth comes out.
Yeah. But I need that too because I'll just like go off on who knows what. And she's like, okay, stay on that. Like I don't remember. I was doing that 5 minutes ago. I don't remember what I was doing.
Cool.
So yeah, and we really do always. That's how we write most of our music, unless, like she said, we just knock something out in the second. Which every once in a while you can land that, or you're just like writing a song. It just came out.
Like I don't know what happened.
Now you say you write. You might write a jingle, or a piece for somebody, tracks or whatever.
Yeah.
How does that work then? If you're
kind
of this organic writing machine.
It's a lot harder for sure.
Yeah.
Although
But
when
it's
you're
a
doing
cool-
that, when we love doing that kind of stuff too. The reason we got started doing that was we got hired to write music for a documentary. So
Yeah.
it was we were working with some other musicians too that were writing stuff. But the reason that works out well with the way we do stuff is they don't necessarily want one song and you send them this one song. They want 50 songs, or not full songs, but
they want variations.
Yeah.
of
Right.
things.
so
Yeah.
you have to sit down and just come up. And I remember I was doing it a lot with the music, just coming up with some little sound and just kind of recording 30-second snippet
Mhm.
of that. And so that's a little bit of how we're able to work in that environment because we're just kind of like coming up with so many different things over and over
Mhm.
again. What's cool about that music is a lot of times that stuff for film and things is instrumental. They want, they don't necessarily want
Yeah.
Right.
vocals, but
you
what
get
we-
the easy part of
yeah.
the job.
I know.
Well, what's really cool that we like kind of came up with, and this is what made us want to like keep doing this kind of stuff, is that first documentary that we did. We were using her like voice, but she was just doing all these
Oohs
different
and, just
but it wasn't like backup singing. Like it was literally like the lead part of the song. Like she was doing what she would normally do singing, but she would just do oohs or ahs or hum and stuff like that. And then I would put this like simple little like ukulele or guitar part underneath it and shaker or just something really simple. And it came up with this really cool sound. And the company that we were working for like was really into it. And so, but all the stuff we came up with that, we own it all. It was used in that, but it's our stuff. So we've kind of kept up with this library of all that kind of stuff and used it for other things. Companies will get a hold of us and want it for a website or something
Well,
like
you
that.
used it in your live shows because she's like queen of the looper
Yeah.
over here, especially on the vocals.
I do really
Yeah.
have fun with that loop pedal.
No, and the other thing I like about that, just like the rest of your music, is it's not in every song and it's not in every verse of every song.
Yeah. Right.
You use it very economically.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like a lot of the stuff in our music. I don't want it to just be, one gimmick,
Right.
and I like to use it sparingly so that it's a little bit more, it catches your
It
ear.
has an impact when you
Right.
hear it, and
Yeah.
then when it's gone, it's like,
Yeah.
oh wait,
Yeah.
I
It's called
want
my-
that back
My
again.
ghost choir.
Yeah.
People are like, where's that coming
Well,
from?
that's what I like the best about the way she does it too, is that you almost don't really know that she's got a loop pedal. Like that's not really the point. A lot of times you go see a band and that's the thing. It's like, oh, this guy is gonna loop his guitar and he's gonna loop the drums. It's gonna be so cool. That's what you're seeing. But she just has these backup sounds that she's creating while she's seeing that she happens to be looping. But you don't quite get that from it. You're just like, well, that sounds cool.
Exactly.
I don't really know what's going on. I think she tapped that thing, but I don't know. This is cool.
Well, if somebody doesn't know what the device is,
Yeah.
they're certainly wondering, how
Yeah.
did she do that?
Right.
But after the second or third piece, I was like, oh yeah,
Yeah.
I know what's going on, and that's
Yeah.
very cool the way it happened.
Yeah.
All right, you've been together now 10 plus years, right?
Yeah, well, 10,
Yeah.
almost 10.
Yeah.
A lot of that time's been on the road, a lot in close quarters.
Yeah.
Now you're thinking about getting married, right?
Yes, we
Yeah.
are.
More than thinking
Not
about
just
it.
thinking.
Yeah.
It's
When is it
It's
gonna happen
happening.
exactly?
September.
yeah.
Wow.
Pretty soon.
Will we be getting an invitation?
Finally.
Oh, of course. The whole, whole
Yeah,
North
the whole,
Carolina.
all of our musical friends would be there.
I know.
What a party that would be.
Oh
Yes,
my
seriously. That would be awesome.
Not everybody can do that and be chill and happy and make it work. What's your secret? Do you have a? philosophy that has helped you get?
Well, I feel as though being in a relationship the way we are is really the only way that we would be able to make this being on the road all the time work. I don't know how, people who are traveling all the time and leaving someone else at home, I don't know how they do it, because that, it's a rough life when you're just alone, on the road all the time. I feel like we sort of have an advantage because we're together, we're experiencing all of this together, and there's not that feeling of being left behind or left out.
Yeah, you're calling home every
Right.
night to share something that somebody else really can't relate to.
Yeah,
exactly. So I think that aspect of it, we really, we're really lucky.
You really like each other.
Yeah,
You get along
Yeah.
comfortably with each other, because a lot of couples I've heard in my travels say, I need some time to myself.
And we know when that needs to happen.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And we tell each other it's important for those times to happen too. We can't just be like, we just love each other all the time. Everything is just amazing. I mean, come on, obviously, But it's like, especially on these long drives, people are like, oh, you've been in the car together for so long. But we both of us have our thing. I love to drive. That's my thing. I would freak out just sitting there. I have to drive. So I'm fine driving, and I have my music that I listen to or drive there, and she loves to write, and so that gives her time, and that's her favorite time to write is in the car. So, I mean, I'm not kidding. There'll be 7-8 hour trips. We're hardly even talking, not in a bad way, but we'll say you ready to stop for a while.
Well, I've just got a whole new impression of our relationship now.
So that's the answer. Do not speak to each other. That's how you get through it.
No, I know it takes a little bit of everything, obviously.
It does, absolutely.
And some people just make it work easier than others, and you guys seem to make it work, and it to me it just shows, and I enjoy that. I like seeing that. One other question that wasn't on the list. Do you have a wish list? And if so, what's at the top of that wish list?
$10 billion.
Okay, that's
all right. We're done. Let's go.
And I really want to be your friend when that happens. That'll be on my wish list. I'm still their friend.
Exactly.
Is there a stage that you want to play, or is there something you want to do, bigger, better?
I feel as though our biggest wish, and this is what we've said all along, is as long as we are able to play music, continue to make music, and be able to make a living doing it, that's really our main goal.
Yeah.
And we don't have, it would be, sometimes we think, it would be lovely to get the, recognition and, some, that feeling of what our dreams confirmed.
We're doing the right thing.
Yeah.
You're being validated.
Validation.
Yeah, that's a good word.
That's the exact word.
Yeah.
But, in the end, we are able to just play our music, and we're able to survive and live our lives just, doing what we love to do. So,
that keeps you happy enough?
It keeps us happy, and, I hope that we continue to grow. As long as we are always, moving forward and never taking steps back. I feel like
so if you never got signed by the big label, or you never played Madison Square Garden, or those things are not as important.
We
it would
gave up on
be
that
awesome for that to happen, someday. You never know. But I feel like we are doing what we want to be doing. So as long as we keep continuing to do that and grow
absolutely.
in that.
Yeah, I would say the exact same thing. I mean, this is how we've made our living the past couple of years, and I can remember when we first moved to Nashville, working these crappy jobs and saying can you imagine if we could ever just be on the road, and that's all we're doing for our job, and here we are doing that, which is awesome. So we have to even tell ourselves that sometimes when we're having a bad day,
reminding,
bad shows, we could be back at that job,
Exactly.
So the fact that, if we can keep just doing this and like she said, build off of it, new things keep coming at us, and we keep working with different groups of people and different things, we're all going to come up with something big at some point. And that's what's important.
I like the way he thinks.
That's what's important about our
Again, I want to be his friend, all right? Well, I want to thank both of you for being here with us today.
You.
Again, Channing and Quinn but we can also find you at
Oh, the
Channing and Quinn.
Yes.
ChanningQuinn.com.
ChanningQuinn.com,
Yeah.
Facebook, all that good stuff.
Yeah.
All over the place.
CD Baby or
Oh,
iTunes,
yeah.
all of those.
All of it.
Everywhere.
YouTube.
Yeah.
We're all over the place.
We're everywhere.
Everywhere.
We're worldwide.
Web.
Yeah.
Web wide. Thanks. Take care.